Welcome to Odd Musings with, what's the name?
Scott and Brett.
You heard him.
All right.
I'm
Thanks,
D.
Steve.
Snyder.
Hey, welcome to episode 170 of Odd Musings. We're your hosts. I'm Brett.
And I'm Scott.
Having another fun week here on the show.
That's
Got a lot
right.
of cool stuff to talk about.
Yeah, we're fresh from our journey outside of the land of Whitmer to the glorious meadows of Indiana.
Yes.
It was
Where
nice to break free.
They actually have open movie theaters.
Yes. I now know what it was like for people in East Germany trying to get over to West Germany when the wall was up.
Oh, yeah.
That's a joke, people.
I know. People will take it seriously.
Jokes, those things you used to be able to tell about 4 years ago.
Yeah, there's no more comedy in the world, it feels like. I swear.
Back in the
It's
old
like,
days.
there's nothing funny anymore. Everything's got to be political.
On
I'm telling
the
jokes.
radio.
No, you're political.
On the radio, I don't know what channel it was, but they had this segment. It said sounds of the olden days, and it's you hear this over the speaker. Table available for a party of 6.
Yeah.
But Indiana was great. I had a blast seeing Kevin and his family, and of course you and Connie were there, so that was awesome as well. So it was a good time.
Yeah, it was well, you came down just for dinner with us before we went to Vegas, but this is the first time we all get to really just hang out.
Yeah.
Usually even at Comic Cons we do the Comic Con, but then we get some time to hang out and just enjoy each other's company a little bit, and that was the best part. And we got some business done, taking care of Kickstarter stuff, and
that's right.
And,
so
we had a little Crimson
cover
Shadows. There's a little background Crimson Shadows for that.
That's right. Yeah. So we'll cover some of what we talked about. Our upcoming Kickstarter launch date we've announced. We got our upcoming 2021 schedule for releases. We got a lot of a little bit ambitious there. Will we hit all the dates? We hope so.
Yeah, maybe we'll hit a few earlier too. You never know.
That's
maybe
right. So,
hanging out,
there's a lot of fun stuff we have in the works between Brett, Kevin, and myself, and we're really geeked about it. And then we got the rewards getting ready to ship, but we'll talk all about that later, as well as New Mutants. Brett got to see a real movie in a real theater. That was
with
awesome.
real pop.
With real.
With Kevin Miner, who says "Morning, gents." It's good
That's
to see
right.
Kevin
Good
Miner
morning.
listening online here.
We'll do
I wonder if he's working in the Oasis.
Well,
Yes.
That's right. We'll do a review. Brett will give a review of New Mutants. We'll talk a little bit about The Boys and what Amazon Prime has done. So we got all kinds of stuff here. So let's cover our sponsors.
Some business to take care of, and I just saw them yesterday. But Loringer Family Chiropractic, located in Belleville, Michigan, and Dexter, Michigan. That's their Belleville location right there. And of course, there's Dr. Anna and Dr. Brian right there, the heads of the Loringer Family Chiropractic. And it is a family affair. Dr. Brian's sister works there. Corinne working. Their other daughter Faith is at the front desk yesterday. I got to see her, which is great. And then they have Dr. Tyler, who's not a Loringer, but you might as well call him family anyway. So they got a lot of great people there that come in and take care of. So that Loringer Family Chiropractic Center, they offer the finest chiropractic care to each and every patient. They offer on-site digital x-rays, massage therapy, orthotics by foot levers, young living essential oils, aromatherapy, full line of vitamins. They also offer the Stony Creek Hemp, which we're hoping will come back next month. There it is right there. Still use it to this day. We have a great time promoting them a little bit. And they can all do this in a family-oriented environment. You can give a call in the Belleville, Michigan location, 734-697-4244. You can visit them online at LoringerFamilyChiropracticCenter.com, and that's where you're going to see this little picture of Belleville Lake there once you first go to this site. So we also have a link at Odd Musings for you, so easy to find them. So definitely check out Loringer Family Chiropractic. They're part of how I stay healthy. I was doing it pre-COVID, during COVID, and as we're heading into post-COVID, because you got to stay well, because even though COVID is out there, there's a lot of other nasty little bugs, and keep yourself healthy is a way to go.
I did want to give a quick testimonial here for Stony Creek Hemp.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, this stuff works. I have a friend who yesterday she had some foot problems there, and she was telling me how bad her feet have been hurting her and her ankles and other things. And I'm like, try it. Trust me, just try it. So she did. She put it on, and about 20 minutes later, she's also a coworker here at the office. I went back out and said, "Hey, how's your feet feeling?" She stopped. It was very much like my experience. She paused, thought about it. She gets up, stood, and she's like, "It doesn't hurt. It feels great." And I mean, it's amazing. It really is. So if you have aches and pains, try it out. I know for myself, I'm not the type of person who will usually use these type of products. But I'm telling you, it works.
Yes.
So check it out. Loringer Family Chiropractic, they sell it. Go to them and start feeling better. Your only regret will be that you didn't start using it sooner.
Yes. And then we have our other great sponsor, which I hear our own Joe Webler got to utilize here recently.
Yes. Yep. That's right. Team Titans of Real Estate. Why? Because you matter. We say it every week. Relationships truly are our number one priority, and it makes such a difference that you can go there. There's something like 1.5 million realtors in the country. Actually, I think it's more than that. I forget the actual stat. So you know what? As far as there's tons of competition. Everyone we meet knows somebody who's a realtor, but just because you know someone doesn't mean they're actually going to take care of you. Sometimes you actually find it's the extreme opposite, unfortunately. But shop around, even if you know somebody. It's okay to get a second opinion. You don't have to choose whoever you talk to. So, use us to at least get a second opinion, find out more data. The more data you have, the better. And you may end up deciding, because this is the largest financial decision you're probably going to make is your house. And, it's nice to be loyal to friends, but at the same time, you got to watch out for yourself and your family and make sure you're making the best choice that will give you the best return for you and your family. So give us a call. 586-549-6096 is my number, or Joe Webler, 586-277-2145. Give us a call.
Excellent.
All right. Yeah. There we go.
So I was kind of looking up here and trying to get some information for us from this past weekend. I don't know. I guess we'll dive right into at our trip to Indiana. Let's talk about that for a minute, and then we'll kind of dive into.
We'll go into Indiana, then we'll shimmy over to the movie theater experience that I want to hear all about. I almost forgotten what movie theaters are.
Yeah, and that was interesting. This is great. We got a chance to go down and visit with Kevin and his family, Brandy. Kevin is watching right now. He's in the Oasis. He has a new thing him and his wife built in their outer garage that allows them to. She has her workout area now, and he has his home studio that besides working from home for his now work from and do the work he does in the comics and artwork and things like that. So he's got his own great space for that outside of the house.
I'm highly jealous of his Oasis.
I am. I want it.
I do too. I think we're gonna just drive. Since we now know the entry code, I think we'll just drive down there and move in overnight. They won't know.
We'll go wall off the rest of the garage, so they think they're using it for their cars, and
we'll just do a slow takeover here.
Yes.
But no, it was a blast. For all of us who are artists, we have so much stuff. We have our tools for drawing, but then when you have your inventory that you sell at shows, and then you have all your bins and everything. It's nice when you get a place that you can actually organize and have it all laid out nicely. And Kevin's got that, so looks awesome. A lot of fun.
Yeah, it's a great thing, and I know he's been utilizing it between the regular day job, cranking out stuff with Bardstone, between the Poe Cobb and Wretched Realms will be coming up on that, and then so Shadows.
So we got together. I brought the Crimson Shadows inventory with me, and we so much stuff. That's right. That's Brandy, Kevin's better half. We went through. We signed all the issues that are rewards, and I gave copies. The inventory that goes to Brett and Kevin. I got those to them. Came back to Michigan. I am now in the process of sorting. I got boxes everywhere back over here. So my plan, if you were a backer, my goal is to have a third of all of our backers shipped out the door by Monday. So I'll be boxing them up, doing all the addressing. And then my hope is the remaining 2/3 will be shipped by Friday of next week. So that's my hope.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of work packaging all this stuff up.
Well, and the thing I'd like to point out is that, we are determined through Bardstone, and that's just personally, but even as a company, to get these things to you as quick as possible. We don't want people waiting like 6 months to a year just to see if the book's even going to come out. I had a notification yesterday of a video of someone I backed about a year ago saying, yeah, it's been a year since the Kickstarter. It still hasn't come out. I still haven't seen the book. They're still working on it.
Right.
They post some updates, stuff like that. So it's a lot of people will do that. Well, it's not done. I'm still working on it, but they're doing it 100% themselves. I've never saw the reason why they couldn't just get this book out and have it ready to go before they do the Kickstarter. But some people need the finances because that's what they're actually trying to live on, which I don't agree with. Initially with the Kickstarters, once you're first starting off doing Kickstarters, you should build towards that.
Yeah. The problem is if you're using your Kickstarter, if you need the Kickstarter to even create the project, the problem potentially becomes is the funds from that Kickstarter start intermingling with personal life expenses, and then you start paying other bills, hoping you're robbing Peter to pay Paul, and then the day comes where you actually have to produce and you've spent the money.
Yeah.
And a lot of inexperienced some experienced actually too.
Yeah, I've had a few that were experienced in the industry for years and they still haven't sent the book out.
I think with Bardstone, what we have going for us is Brett, Kevin, and myself are all very business minded. We have business backgrounds. So yes, we are artists, but we're also business people. We understand deadlines. My degree's in accounting and I've got a lot of accounting experience, and I'm very strict with my personal money being completely separate from my business money. And so, for instance, can you pull up my screen here?
Sure.
We might as well show it. So here's the release of Wretched Realms. In the last 5 weeks, I wrote this story, fully laid it out, fully penciled it. I am right now about 25% done with inks. By the time we launch on September 30th, inks will be done, and all I will have left is colors. I'm going with a very easy color style in this book. So I will have it done by the time the Kickstarter ends 4 weeks later. So we'll be able to, once I get the financing in, that money goes straight to our printer and prints up the inventory so I can get it out to you. So that's how we're working. We don't, whether or not even if the Kickstarter didn't happen, this project's going to be done. I'm not relying on the Kickstarter for it to be made. Mm-hmm. So, and that's very important for you, the backer, to know. You like Crimson Shadows, even though it was done, you still have the process of having to send things to the printing company, get the proofs, approve those, get the final prints, get them here, do the signings. So it still takes like another month of fulfillment just to get it out to you. But everything was done by the time the Kickstarter ended. So that's how we do it. We believe in, giving you something really good. So Wretched Realms is going to be launched September 30th. That's a Wednesday. We like that model, so we're going to do that. It'll be a 4-week one for Wretched Realms.
Yep.
Then we got Poe Macabre Master issue 2 coming out. Kevin's working on that. He's almost done with that issue. So by the time roughly February, March is what we're estimating. We could actually launch it sooner, but we don't want to conflict with the holidays. So we're going to hold it for February. So that will be fully done when he launches that one in February to March.
Yeah, and I turned in my script for that just the other week, and we went up and talked about it over the weekend. And
I am so excited for your story. I love what you did with that one. You were working on Dream Within a Dream. What's it called?
Dream Within a Dream. Yep.
So won't reveal the spoiler of what your story is, but I really liked how you went with it. So that's exciting. So Kevin's just got to draw that one up.
Yeah.
And then that one's done. Then that book is done.
Yeah, and he's just about there with the rest of the stories too. So we saw some preview pick stuff, and it looks great.
Yeah. Crimson Shadows issue 2, or sometime in spring, we're going to launch that. That one, the layouts are mostly done. The pencils, I believe through page 8 is now done for pencils. Once that book gets done, then I'll send it over to Kevin for ink. So by the time we get to the point here, it'll already be done.
Yeah.
It'll be ready.
And I know on our schedule we're working on is when we're launching the Poe Macabre issue 2, we're looking to have Crimson Shadows pretty much done by then. And we're all working on the next couple books of like Poe 3, Wretched Realms 2. I'll hopefully have issues 5 of Scabs. Again, I want to get that done before I launch anything Kickstarter wise. And that could move up a bit to when that will come out.
Exactly.
Which is what my hope is, because I like to have it available for con season next year. Starting at mid the year.
Yeah, what I would love is to see Boomtown Scabs ready, so when we do San Diego, we have that in hand.
Yeah,
that would be awesome. But I put second half of 2021 just as a buffer. But all these are subject to change. Crimson Shadows issue 3, that one, it's already fully written. So we have various stages completed of a lot of these books. And we're just rotating through. So we're really trying to keep a regular schedule for you fans, because so often stuff, and we're guilty of it too. I mean, my manual, I finally have it coming out end of issue 2, end of 2021. Working at, when you're an island, everything takes forever to produce, and it can take a couple years to do a single issue. But now we're getting a process in place where we help each other. We keep things moving. And also I'm building on the energy you have, Brett, the energy Kevin has. It's keeping me going. So I'm not feeling like you stall when you're on your own, because you get sidetracked just trying to pay the current bills. And then by the time you catch up, then it's like, oh yeah, I got to get back to that. And you've lost the momentum. But I'm feeding off the energy that you and Kevin provide, and it's helping inspire me to keep going. And I'm really liking the flow that we've developed.
It's been really good, and I'm excited about everything that's going on. And having a release schedule is actually a good thing for us to try to stay on target with everything as we're continuing to build the Bardstone brand and with all our titles and that. And that's going to be fun. You guys see us next year at shows, and you're going to, even if we're separate in different locations at the same show, it's still going to be primarily Bardstone and all our titles and things like that.
Yeah, we're pulling away from the fan art prints, where we really are going all in on being creators. We will have some available stock for our fans of older stuff, but we're not really, if we get inspired, we could, we're not saying none of us are going to ever do fan art ever again.
No,
it's not our focus, so this is what we're doing, and we hope you guys love what we put out.
Excellent. It's gonna be a lot of fun with it. I'm excited for all the titles we got coming out, and who knows what might be announced as we all get new ideas over the next year or two.
Yeah, I am so excited.
Yeah.
All right. So let's talk about your funness with New Mutants.
Yeah, I got a chance to go to see the New Mutants, and I was gonna bring up here the box office grosses, and we put this over here because I was looking at Box Office Mojo. And this is it right here. So basically, it's like this last weekend. This shows like what we had here through September 3rd. I guess the new movie Tenet came out. And
now these numbers, are those just box office, or are they including video on demand?
I think it's just box office.
Yeah, I think so. See, that's what's really
what it looks
weird
like
about right now. And they're going to have to figure out a new way of doing this. Because, for instance, Bill and Ted's is killing it in video on demand.
Yeah, here it is. For last weekend, Tenet came out, and it was $20 million was the weekend haul for that. New Mutants dropped to 3, Unhinged 1.8, Bill and Ted 773,000. And I guess Sponge on the Road, I didn't even know that came out, 345,000.
Is
this is Box Office Mojo, and it should be
or is this global?
I think this is, I'm not sure.
Down below 20. Oh, wait a minute. What's that? Worldwide.
Yeah, that was a worldwide. So I think it's just domestic. It's just domestic. Yeah.
So 20 million is really good.
Yeah. They had 2,800 over 2,800 screens.
Oh. Okay.
New Mutant had 2,700. So it's a lot of the Unhinged at 24, and then Bill and Ted's is under 1,000. Yeah. And then SpongeBob had 304. Because there are different places around the U.S. that there's a lot more open on the movie theaters than they are even in Indiana and even Michigan. I mean, Michigan, we have drive-ins.
Right.
And some of them are showing, like there's a couple still showing New Mutants, a couple of them showing Unhinged, some of them showing Tenet. Not all are showing the same thing. It has to do with I think what they can afford for rentals and stuff like that. But it was kind of nice to actually have go to a movie, and we did that. We took the kids on Sunday afternoon. Kevin and I did, and we went and saw New Mutants at their local theater. They have a little old 1-screen or 2-screen theater there in town. They were showing Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban and the New Mutants.
Oh, actually, that would have been fun to go see on the big screen.
Yeah, I guess they're doing every week. They're doing a new Harry Potter movie. I was like, if I
would
lived a couple
totally
blocks
have done
there,
that.
I just love watching on the big screen. I'd go over there and watch it. But and this is all digital projection. It's top notch quality, and it's not the stadium seating, but you can see everything just fine. And they do COVID seating basically. So they said don't sit right in front of anybody. Kind of sit off to the side. If there's anybody in your same row, give a couple seats between, from your group. We ended up having pretty much the row to ourselves, and then nobody sat right directly in front of us. And then so it was a couple rows, but there wasn't a full house. It was maybe about 30 total people in the screening on Sunday afternoon.
Yeah.
But here's my quick review. I'll try not to be too much of a spoiler on it, but I'm gonna say
I don't know if you want to
spoilers.
share. I put the New Mutants Rotten Tomatoes review up too. So
Yeah.
So here you see the critic score is 33%, audience score 54%.
All right.
Which is interesting. Usually you get like drastic differences.
Right. And I'm going to start with this. We've been waiting a couple of years for this movie to come out. Not excited about it at all. All we've heard since day one is negative. And part of it was the last two X-Men movies, Dark Phoenix and Rise of Apocalypse, were pretty crappy movies.
Yeah. To be fair, this was pre-Disney. They made this, so this is
this is still in the Fox. 20th Century Fox did this, and
even all the X-Men movies. For some reason, the X-Men movies in general are fun movies, but they have done they've tried to create this overarching universe, but at the same time they ignored their own universe, so they contradict their own things all the time, their own timelines. There's the continuity is the all-time worst when it comes to a franchise, but they're still fun, but
well, I enjoyed the first three when they initially came out, and then they switched and went to First Class. I liked First Class a lot. Yes. I liked Days of Future Past. I liked the theatrical, and I liked the road cut. And that movie actually went and corrected timelines for the original movie. So they could try to put everything back in a timeline again. But then they went on with trying to stick with the decade thing. So they did the 60s and 70s and went to the 80s and 90s. And it was okay, what they had new cast members for the characters as younger ones. And realistically, it was more story than it was the actors. And although a couple of the actors were very bland, the stories were just not as good. New Mutants was announced, and New Mutants is kind of in the vein of how, at least how it was presented, in my opinion, when it was first coming out, was how they started presenting Suicide Squad from DC and Warner Brothers. This is kind of separate. It's not tied into those. It's part of the same universe. It's just
which I found interesting because Logan was such a hit. Everyone loved Logan.
Yes.
And I thought they were setting up New Mutants through Logan. You had the band of kids who were together, who they were, I thought that was going to be the launching pad for New Mutants, and they scrapped that and went a completely different direction.
Yeah.
And then the studio itself didn't seem to have much confidence in it because they canceled their own project.
Yeah. The problem with them going off of Logan was that they had jumped into the future. So if you went from the future on, it was years ahead of now. And I think that would cause issues as they try to put out movies. We're 10 years from when Logan supposedly happens, and it's still a very drastic future from now.
But at the same time, that would put them in a time period where you can do all kinds of things and not be bound by things. It's this is some near future.
Yeah. Well, this movie though, the X-Men are mentioned.
Okay.
So the X-Men are known about.
Okay.
When we get introduced to the initial characters in that, we meet one, and they're being chased. She's Native American, and something is chasing her and her dad. And then next thing you know, we wake up and we're in this basically like a hospital, and we come to find out this is where this story is going to really take place. And the movie itself is a was billed as a horror movie. It's not really a horror. It's more of a thriller.
That's what I wanted to ask.
Yeah.
Did you see? What's the TV series they came out with that was? Oh God, the kid. The guy would get in your head, and what was it? It was an X-Men series, but it
wasn't The Gifted, was it? There was The Gifted on Fox.
No, this was
and
actually
there was another
X-Men.
one on like FX or something like that. So
X-Men TV show. It was what's the kid who Professor X? He has the different color eyes. It was on recently. Oh wait, is it Gifted? I don't think it was Gifted though. No, it wasn't Gifted.
Yeah.
It was I hate my memory. I totally know what I'm talking about, but I can't say it.
Anyway, well, back to New Mutants. So let me get back to New Mutants here.
Yeah, you do New Mutants. I'll figure this out. All right. What I was getting at is I was wondering if it was the same level of tone because it was kind of semi-scary.
It's a darker tone. It's the first 30 to 40 minutes of the movie. You could say it's a little slow, but realistically, they're building everything up they need to build up within the confines of where the story is told. The thing I liked about it, and I'll be honest, I dozed for about a minute in the movie, but that was only because I was really tired that afternoon after we had stayed up playing cards and drinking the night before. And, so it kind of caught up with me, but I barely slept. I didn't miss anything because it was all just some exposition in that. But the first 45 minutes of it starts off with you're learning who these characters are. You start to realize what their powers are. They don't just come out and say, here's our powers. A couple more hiding it. We also are learning a little bit of their backstories and the reasoning behind some of their stuff of who they are. And then we start learning about where everything's coming from, and it's all tied into each other on the mutant sense of what's going on. And I don't want to talk too much into it because I want people to go see it, because when it was all said and done, and there's no end credit scenes, by the way, so you don't have to worry about staying through the credits. I looked at Kevin and I said, I actually like this. And he was like, yeah, me too. And what we liked about it was it's kind of its own thing. You don't have to see any of the X-Men movies. Yes, it is set in the X-Men universe that was set up by 20th Century Fox. It is a completely, different story from those. And at the end, they could have continued on, which I know they're not going to, because they had originally 20th Century Fox had scrapped it. They had done some reshoots and then shelved it, but I think a lot of that was part of the, hey, we're getting sold to Disney. Why spend the money marketing it? We'll just shelve it, and and they spent the money, $100 million or less making it, and to them that was a write off, and they were getting out of the movie business anyways, and it's all going to Disney.
Right. And for Disney, it's like, hey, it's already made. Might as well release it. It's free.
And that's what they said. Remember they talked about that last year. It was like, oh, it's made. It's so they started coming out. It's supposed to be out March, I think, originally.
Yeah.
And it would have been. I think it's something that even now people would trash it just the same, just because it's not what they wanted. But Bill Sienkiewicz, I believe, was, because Kevin and I were talking about this. He actually came out and said, you know what? They actually handled my characters pretty well. I'm very happy with what they did in telling the story. In a lot of ways, well, yes, 60 to 100 million, whatever they spent on this movie, that's a lot of money. In the superhero genre, it's really not. And most of it went to the special effects, stuff like that. But I think that, and I really liked all the actors in it. All the kids playing the New Mutants were all great. They all bring something to it. Yeah, we knew Maisie from Game of Thrones. I recognized what's his name from Stranger Things.
Yep.
And that, but the rest of them I really didn't know. I'd kind of seen them a little bit, but I really didn't know who they were, and they were all fantastic.
Generally speaking, like I was saying, the X-Men movies in and of themselves are usually fun movies. The problem they have is had they just made independent movies that weren't connected, I think things would have gone better. But because they were trying to make this larger universe, I never could understand why they could never properly follow their own timeline.
Well, as you and I talked about talking about DC and Marvel, you need a central figure to handle that. When you have a committee of they, that's where the problem lies. And that's what 20th Century Fox had. Where New Mutants, though, is its own thing, its own standalone story. And at the end, they don't directly tie it into any of the X-Men movies. it ends where it needs to end for them, but sets it up like if they were to go back and revisit these characters again, they have a path to continue on from, and then they could eventually tie it into a grander thing. But I know where Disney eventually will relaunch the X-Men in a different way, and New Mutants will just be that side movie. But it was a movie that I enjoyed enough that I looked at Kevin and said, you know what, I would definitely see it again in the theater with somebody that said, hey, I want to go see it. But I definitely probably will pick it up on Blu-ray when it comes out and watch it again to kind of more look into the depths of the production itself. I liked what it is. It's set in this hospital. It takes place there. They set up everything. You learn about the characters, how they interconnect. You know, the ones that have been there long before the one girl got there, and what they think is going on, and then what is really going on, and then how it ties into the X-Men universe with that, with the different things that are outside forces that we never really see, but they are talked about and mentioned.
Can you pull up my screen there? That is true. Do you remember the Legion TV series?
Yes, I didn't really watch it, but I remember that. So
okay, so this is the one I was trying to think of that's tied into X-Men, but it takes place in a hospital. You don't know what's real and what's not, and they kind of had a scary, edgy feel to it. And I felt like New Mutants was trying to follow kind of the formula they were doing with this. So that's what I was trying to ask, is if it kind of had the same feel. I really enjoyed Legion personally. I thought it was good.
Well, I think the thing with the New Mutants is as a film, it is its own film. And that's why I think that when they were with when 20th Century Fox was doing this, they were looking at this as, okay, we have these, it had all kinds of these characters they could pull from and they had never dealt with. So it's like, well, let's just introduce them. Let's do their own movie. And they created it. And it definitely, if 20th Century Fox was continuing on, I think they could have had, you know, ability to build this bigger X-Men universe by having these standalone films like New Mutants. Maybe they would have gone the X-Force route. We talked, you know, they teased X-Force and Deadpool, you know, and things like that. But you got, you know, just looking at like even the cast that was in it, though. I mean, you had a decent cast, but you had Maisie Williams. She plays Rain Sinclair. She's a Scottish mutant, turns into a wolf. You have Anya Taylor-Joy. She played Ileana Rasputin. She has sorcery powers. She was fantastic. I love seeing her when she got to bring her stuff. And then she has her purple dragon companion, Lockheed. And the way they brought that to life was fantastic, because it's all you see Lockheed through most of the film is a hand puppet. Charlie Heaton was Sam. He's I mean, he can propel himself into the air and is invulnerable while doing so. And then you have Dr. Cecilia Ray. She's kind of the mentor of the group, the medical doctor who's there working with them. And her take at the beginning is she's trying to get them to understand their powers, control their powers, so they can go out into the world. And that's where the X-Men name gets dropped, is maybe joining the X-Men. Blue Hunt plays Danny Moonstar. She's the Native American. And she can create illusions based on the fears and desires of other people. Henry Zaga plays Roberto da Costa. He's a Brazilian mutant who can manipulate solar energy. He was really cool. This stuff was. And then Adam Beach is William Lone Star. That's Danny's father. He's of Cheyenne descent. And he's only in the beginning. And we are told everybody died there. But that would have been something that I think going forward they could have brought him back, because we never saw him die.
All right.
And then the character Demon Bear is featured. So these are all things that came right out of you know, the comics and stuff like that.
I have a bunch of the comic covers on the screen there, if you want to share that. So yeah, if you were, geez, what was it, 90s, right?
Yeah, and I read a lot of these New Mutants back then.
I did too. I was going to ask you, I read a ton of these, and honestly, I have, for some reason, I don't really remember the New Mutant storylines much. But
and a lot of what they're doing with the film, of course, is not taken directly from the comics in terms of story, but it's creating its own build from there, because you know comics are different. They New Mutants spin-offs. I mean, you got Cable there. I mean, that's a spin-off from other stuff, and you know it's all tied in together. So
I remember this one really well here. This cover, it's kind of small on the screen, but that's one of the classic covers there. But
and that goes back pre-90s. That's Claremont McLeod. You got Sal Buscema there, Ron Friends, you know, J.B. Buscema. I mean, so these guys are New Mutants was pre-90s. 90s got a relaunch with Rob Liefeld. That's what a lot of people know, but pre-Liefeld is a lot of where this comes from.
Right. So from your memory of it, did you feel, did they keep true to the comics, or is this a standalone from the comics as well?
Well, it's a standalone from the comics, but I think it's also a they took some of the classic New Mutant stuff. So I mean, going back pre-Liefeld, which a lot of people knew, and it was them trying. It's kind of like Guardians of the Galaxy. Guardians of the Galaxy movies were not directly from the comics. They kind of pieced stuff together, and it's kind of what they did here. But I think it was more pre-Liefeld. But it definitely could have. This could have been something that heck they could even tied it into Deadpool the way they're going with Cable, and brought Cable over. Into from Deadpool into these New Mutants, and kept it more serious tone. Where of course Deadpool is not serious. So it's. It's definitely its own thing, and it's definitely, in my opinion, of the last 3 X-Men movies. So Apocalypse, Dark Phoenix, and New Mutants. It is better than those other 2 movies. It was fun to watch. I enjoyed the time. I never felt bored, even when it was a little slower. I didn't feel bored. I said my nodding off, and I mentioned this was because I walked in already tired. I probably should have took a nap an hour and a half beforehand, just because I was already tired. And when I get tired, it's like that. And but the kids all enjoyed it. And there was a lot of younger people in the audience that seemed to enjoy it that had no clue who these characters were, and nobody ever was going, "What's this? What's that?" They were all just like, "Oh wow, okay, cool."
I wanted to ask you. So, how did the kids like it?
They all loved it, and and that's a point too. Is like they have no prior knowledge of anything with these characters, so they definitely were enjoying the heck out of it. And that, so it was something that, and I know they would watch again. I was looking at the production of this, so just through the quick Wikipedia here. They started filming this July 10th, 2017. So 3 years ago is when they started principal photography. It was under the working title Growing Pains. And then, the initial cut of the film, it shows here they delivered a cut to Fox that were happy with it. It tested as well as initial screenings of Deadpool did. And then 3 days of additional photography were planned to complete the movie. However, following the successful release of the film, the studio cut the first trailer for New Mutants to focus on the scary elements of the film, seeing it, selling it as a straight up horror movie. I think that's where they kind of messed up. They shouldn't have done that. Even though it says it was a success, I think people got confused. Like, okay, it's not a horror movie when you actually go see it. Right. It's a thriller. It's a suspenseful thriller is the best way I would put it on that. January 2018, the film's release date was pushed back to February of 2019. So that was a year and a half ago. And they wanted to avoid Deadpool 2 coming out, which is smart because that would have just overshadowed it.
Kevin's saying he gives it 7.5 out of 10.
Yeah, it's not a perfect movie by far. But, I mean, I give Apocalypse 2.5 out of 10, and I gave Dark Phoenix about a 1.2 out of 10 because it was that bad. It was actually painful to watch Dark Phoenix.
I fully agree. Dark Phoenix was so bad, horrendous.
Yeah,
I still have,
now, of course,
PTSD from it.
Kind of starting the timeline here, though, on the release of this stuff. They pushed the release to April 3rd of this year. Reshoots were set to take place later in 2019. But in August of last year, Disney was said to be unimpressed with the New Mutants. But of course, it's not their project. So unfortunately, I tie that to just producers and studio heads going, well, we didn't do this, so we're just gonna act like we're not impressed, but we're gonna release it because it cost them absolutely nothing other than marketing to get it out there. Right. So they got that. But there was the inclusion of the Essex Corporation in the film, which were post-credit scenes of Apocalypse and Logan. So that's kind of how they tied it more into the actual universe of the X-Men. But yeah, so they did a couple reshoots and stuff like that. I couldn't tell really any differences in the film after what they reshot and didn't reshoot. So it all looked good, like the same.
So you recommend going?
I highly recommend it. And the reason I say that is it's you got to go in with an open mind, first of all, of that this is not an X-Men movie. It's going to have characters that have powers. They are mentioned as mutants because, of course, the New Mutants. And you also want to go in and just watch it for the story. Don't try to watch it for what it could have been, what other mutant movies have done, and just go enjoy it. And if you go in and read it as if you go in just like a graphic novel, when you read like there's been the Batman Cacophony. It came out as a limited run series written by Kevin Smith, but it's not part of the Batman series. But when you read it by itself, it's a great read. Tied into the actual Batman run of comics, it's going to have its differences and things like that. Right. I just mentioned that because I just haven't noticed, that comic the other day. But
so the real question though is, do you truly like it, or is this the saltine cracker effect? You know the Eddie Murphy skit about saltine crackers?
Yes. I actually liked it. I really did.
Because this is your first movie you've seen in like 8 months at a theater. So was it
Right.
just you were starving and no matter what you saw, you would have loved?
No, I had popcorn, pop, and candy. I was good. So if the movie sucked, I had popcorn, pop, and
I
candy.
didn't mean starving literally. I mean starving.
Yeah. No.
in the sense
No, reason I say that like that is I had all the elements of enjoying a movie in a movie theater, whether or not the movie was good or bad.
Right.
Now, I have gone to movies where it's like, okay, I've walked in, I've got my stuff, I'm ready to watch it, and the movies are just bad to watch.
Yeah.
And I would have watched the whole thing. I mean, I never get up and walk out as much as I want to sometimes. I always watch for the whole thing. And I will be honest with you, I walked in thinking, okay, I get to hang out, with one of my best pals, Kevin, and nieces and nephews adopted, and just have a great time with them. And I can tell you this, even though I was trying not to nod too much because I was like really getting into the story, and then I would close my eyes for a second and I jerked myself awake, and then I sat up and chugged a bunch of pop. But I liked the movie for what it was, and I went in. I've never liked a movie just because or something like that, just because I hadn't done that event in a long time.
Right.
If it sucks, it sucks. And I sat there, and when we got done the whole, climactic part of it, the last half hour, I really enjoyed all that. You're into it. Nothing felt bad pacing wise to me. It wasn't great, but it wasn't bad.
All right.
And I got done with it going, you know what? I'd like to see where this goes. And I'd like to see them take these characters out again.
That's the real test there. If you hadn't thinking that, then it was good.
Yeah, when I saw X-Men Apocalypse, I walked out of there going, I don't need to see another X-Men movie.
Yeah, and then Dark Phoenix came out.
And Dark Phoenix came out, and I did not go see it.
And then
in
you
the
said,
theater.
oh, God, I'm so glad Disney bought them, and they're putting it out of its misery.
But I skipped it at the theaters. I just couldn't take myself to see it. The trailer looked bad. I had bad taste from Apocalypse. And the thing was I really liked Days of Future Past, and I liked First Class. I thought, okay, let's see what they can do. But they went to another direction, and they basically just crapped the bed on both those movies. And when I finally watched Dark Phoenix, because it popped up on the Disney Plus here a couple months ago, it was painful to watch. I really just didn't like it. Story was horrible. They were, in a way, retelling what they'd already done with X-Men 3, which didn't need to be done. And then, and the acting was bad. And, I liked her on Game of Thrones, but what's her name? Was Sophie Turner or whatever, was just horrible as Jean Grey in Phoenix. So it was just bad. And then, of course, the movie itself really wasn't even Dark Phoenix. It was the Jennifer Lawrence movie as Mystique.
Horrible Mystique.
Yeah, and her not want to be in costume hardly any time. I was like, it shouldn't have been done. They should have ended it and moved on, and we need to relaunch the X-Men into something better.
Well, instead of talking about painful superhero experiences, let's talk about a good one. The Boys season 2 started. We got to watch episode 1 with Kevin of season 2 in his Oasis. Yeah, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. I watched episode 2 last night. I am absolutely loving season 2. How about you?
I am too. It's funny seeing people post. A couple people on my Facebook posted that they're so bored. I'm going, I don't know why you're bored. There's a lot of good story here.
So what are they referring to being bored about?
And that's the thing. People, when they start posting the negative like this stuff, it becomes, I think they just want to be negative, and they have no real reasoning behind it. But I think what you and I talked about was they didn't drop the entire season, right? And so now they can't binge it. And when you're watching something like The Boys, when you watch something like Mandalorian, when we watch basically any of these really good series, Stranger Things, even stuff like that, they aren't season shows. These are, in a sense, long movies, right? And you're gonna have stages within the 10 or 12. I think this has got 10 probably episodes, and to say that, by the third one I'm bored. No, how are you bored? There's so much story being told. There's so much setup going on. They're introducing new characters. We're seeing a lot of action, especially as we get into the third episode. But the thing they're setting up is everything that's going to be detrimental for this entire season. And you can't just set up in like half an hour in one episode, then have 9 episodes of action that people want. So I personally am just fully engrossed in it, and I can't wait for the next episode to come out on Friday.
I've got screen there to share.
Yeah.
So with season 1, it came out in what's become known as like the Netflix release, where it just the whole season comes out as once, and people can watch it at their own pace. Some people watch the entire season all in one sitting. Some like to stretch it out. So season 1 was released in a binge format. Season 2, they have made the decision to withhold some of the episodes and start doing like a weekly release, which I personally am a huge fan of. I've really liked the way that Disney has done Mandalorian, but here's his reasoning. So people are mad at Amazon, and this is talking about people are purposely right here review bombing The Boys because they're demanding Amazon switch it back to a full binge release program. But here's the thing.
That's Mom's favorite word lately, demand. She's so tired of people demanding things.
We have so much connection with fans through shows now. Unfortunately, this year, not so much. But we see the life cycle of a show. We see the fans' taste. When you binge release something, people only care about it for about 2 weeks. Like under the old model, it would take a whole season for a show. We would do fan art of a show. And all season, you could tell what fans were liking. And you could tell right when they stopped liking it. Same like the Arrowverse, Flash, and Green Arrow, and all those. Those prints sold like insane. And then, boom, no one cared anymore. Right. You could see when people stopped caring about a show through sales. And when things started coming out as binging, you would go to a show and it would be super hot. By the time you got to the next show, it was, oh, that's old. That's so 2 weeks ago. And the fans have already moved on to the next thing. Releasing them in this manner helps give life to it. It allows the fans time to interact and feed off of each other's enthusiasm. It gives us time to speculate what's coming next. Why did he do that? When you binge, you lose all that.
Yeah.
And here, I just wanted to quote the guy the producer here. He said, people burn, this is talking about when you release all 8 at once, so it's 8 episodes, it becomes a sugar rush of a binge. And then he elaborates, people burn through it in a week or two. There's an intense amount of activity, and then it sort of fades, and then everyone's kind of off to the next thing. There's so many great moments in season 2. We want to give it time to marinate so people can reflect on it, talk about it before they move to the next thing, maybe in conversation or things like that. So it helps. I think a little anticipation for the fans is healthy. I think it helps the experience. I 100% agree.
Yes. And
I'm all for, now if you have like a 3-episode season, something crazy short, maybe release it all at once. But I'm really liking Mandalorian coming out once a week at a set time.
Yep. Besides The Boys doing this, HBO Max dropped the Doom Patrol season 2 like this. You got 3 episodes, and then you had to wait weekly for each episode. So that you watch. I know I watched the first 3 actually when we were in Vegas. I was like, I got done. I was like, man, I went looking. I gotta wait. I was like, crap, I'm ready for it now. But I liked that. I liked the anticipation of I couldn't just binge it the whole time, and and I like that with The Boys. When Netflix has always been just drop it, let people enjoy it, get into it, and stuff like that, and it's worked. But I think now, especially with right now, we're looking at a lot of new regular TV shows not coming out right away. This gives you something to look forward to weekly. I like that waiting for this. We got Friday coming out, and this gives 5-6 weeks total of you got this good series. So it's not like you're waiting 6 months to get the whole series. It's only 6 weeks, and that's still a very fast time to get a season like that.
Well, I think this also shows how mentally lazy people have gotten off of binging through things like Netflix, where like waiting for an episode is, that's it, I'm bored, I'm protesting, I'm going to demand they change this. It's like, come on, people, it's not the end of the world having to wait for another episode. Come on. Jeez.
Well, and that's the whole thing. But when we were covering the second to last season of Game of Thrones on Musings, we had we covered it. That was pretty much what we're covering every week because we were both excited about that until the last season when it got crappy. But it was the thing we enjoyed about it was we had something to talk about each week. And even outside of the show, it was something to talk about with people over, like it was the water cooler talk again. And we started recognizing that, when we binge a show, we don't do this. We cover the whole thing. You have to be careful who to say to who, because not everybody's watched the entire, they may be 3 episodes in where you're 8. So
They're
you never know what's going on.
Fun as a fan to talk to another fan and say like, well, why do you think he did that? What's the motivation? What do you think he's going to do? Oh, did you see that? What are they, how's this person going to react? When you've been, all of that speculation, all that fun is gone. And it's just, and then you get to the opposite extreme where the douchebags out there, who you are, watch the entire season in 3 hours. It's like, how did you watch it in 3 hours? It's 8 hours long, but they do. They watch it in 3 hours, and then they post every spoiler everywhere. And then it's like, well, if you didn't watch it all in 3 hours, you're not a true fan. It's like, stop that. People have lives.
Yeah.
We
have, a lot of us have jobs we can't just say, hey, I got to walk away from.
It gives the fandom time to get onto the same page, to move to the next thing. And it's a lot of fun. And like, even online, you have, like when Walking Dead was really big, I belonged to these private Walking Dead groups. So while the show was on, we would be logged in and we could comment about the show to each other without spoilers getting out to the public, because it was a private page. And there's something about this group viewing experience that enhances it and makes the fandom stronger. Otherwise, you just one and done, boom, boom, boom. You're not developing a strong fan base. You're just creating a sugar junkie fan base where I came here for the rush and I'm out.
Yeah. Well, I liked what we did with, we talked a lot about Mandalorian when it came out last year, and I'm sure we're going to do the same this year, guys. So fair warning. But the thing I liked with Mandalorian.
Yeah.
The thing with Mandalorian I liked that we did was you and I, we watched the first episode. We talked about it the next week. Prior to the next episode coming out, I would rewatch the previous 1 or 2 episodes just to kind of bring it back into it. So I probably went through the entire season during its initial run like 3 times, just because it was that good of a show.
Pick up new things because there's so much to a show, and it's really nice to enjoy those things and find the nuance. When you're a fan, you want to know the nuance.
Yeah, it's like Lock and Key. I'm looking forward to the next season, but I binged the first one. But to be honest with you, I'm gonna have to rewatch it again because going through it so fast, I know I missed a ton of stuff.
Right, I agree. Yeah. Plus, that's the other part. Now that you mention that, when you binge an entire 8 hours, are you really paying attention to it? You tend. I mean, that's a long period of time, and you probably have things going on in the house, so you have it on while you're doing it. But when to set aside an hour to watch a show, you can pay attention during an hour.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, this is my special time. I'm going to turn the lights off, turn off the phone. I'm paying attention. I think you soak in more.
Yeah. Well, it's even Cobra Kai. I watched that pretty much, a couple, 3 episodes at a time. And even though they're half-hour episodes, I know I'm going to eventually go back and rewatch it again because I enjoyed it, but I know there's little nuances I missed, little Easter eggs, things like that. But as it gets ready to launch the next season, I'm going to want to rewatch again to see some things they may have threw in the first season that we missed in the second season that will play a part of the third. And that's what I kind of like about, having these shows come out like this, and the boys will be every week now. And I got something to look forward to every week. When you binge it and then there's nothing, you're just like, I'll go weeks without like nothing to watch. So
afterward, this is a little grandpa moment for me. You can put it
okay.
Up. Ashley just sent this to me. So this is a scan of her baby.
Excellent.
So that's little Lillian in there.
All right.
So, and she messaged me saying everything's looking good. So
awesome.
That's the little peanut.
Future Zambelli coming to the world.
Right. So there's my granddaughter. That's
Very cool.
It's amazing how far these ultrasounds have come.
I know. It looks like the young girl there could start talking to us any minute now.
Smile there. It's crazy. Crazy stuff.
Yeah. So I think we've covered just about everything we wanted to set out to talk about.
Let's see. I think so. So we got exciting Bardstone stuff on the way. I'm trying to find where's our little promo thing. See if New Mutants, Wretched Realms, Indiana. Yeah, we covered everything.
Yep.
Any fun stuff planned coming up?
No, I'm back to work tomorrow after taking almost a week off just to go down and enjoy Indiana and get back on my regular schedule here. I'll probably be heading down just for a night to Indiana. We're working on scheduling to meet up with Vinny and Lisa from T-24 and Kevin and Brandy and do dinner. We'll let you know in case you want to drive down too. There's gonna be probably it'll be like a one night thing. We're looking at on Monday or Tuesday. And I'm excited because I'm wearing my T-24 Harry Potter Hogwarts shirt. Yep. And haven't had a chance to see our friends in a while, and it'd be great to catch up because we haven't seen them at all this year.
Heading out, it's not a special. It's not like some secret Comic-Con that they found out about.
No, they're going hiking or something like that in Indiana. So
they do a lot of great. Usually, because they're also traveling to all these shows, they plan these fun little side trips on the road while they're going to shows. But that's good. They're heading out.
And then other than that, I'm just watching how things are going. I'm hoping I could plan a trip down to Universal before the year's out, looking at December if everything looks like it'll work out, and get my own Harry Potter time in, get some butterbeer, ride some rides, have a little fun, get a little break again. But I got to tell you, this past weekend was great to hang out with Kevin and the family. Yep. It was the break in life I needed. That wasn't the norm that has been lately of just work.
Yeah, hopefully next year we can get back to doing shows, doing conventions, and enough of this stupid COVID crap. Yeah, everyone tells me I need to listen to the experts. So let me tell you about the experts, okay? Here's my little rant. I have a doctor's visit I had to go to. The doctor's in the hospital, okay? So I get to the hospital to go in. You know what their big security for getting through the door is? They just ask, do you have any COVID symptoms? No. Okay, go in. That's it. You get in. Half the doctors had their mask down. Okay? Under their nose, under their chin. Okay? Those are the experts. Okay? I've talked with many. Not one of them that I know has had a concern. Not one. My doctor, when they came in, he's also a surgeon. I'm going to be getting hernia surgery done. He comes in, his mask is down, and he shakes my hand. These are the experts. They're not terrified. They're not hiding. People admire, random Joe who wants to criticize me about masks. They're the experts, I guess. The hospital, they're fine. No one gives a crap. I'm telling you, they don't care because they know your little cloth mask doesn't mean crap. So anyway, we got to get back to living, people. Enough of this. Is it real? Yes. Can you get it? Yes. Will the cloth mask stop it? No.
I've had a couple people on my Facebook that got it, and they said they'd followed all the rules. They followed the social distancing. They wore the mask. They did everything, and yet they still got it. Yep. And it's just like the flu or anything. You can come in contact and not know it, and they say it's not airborne. It is. And I know six or seven people I know who got it. So far, only one wasn't a mask wearer. All the rest, major mask wearers, did every precaution. Were they put themselves in their house, barely went out for anything, extremely careful. And those ones got it. I'm telling you, we need to go back to living, people. Yeah, I agree. And it's not about not acknowledging the virus. It's a real thing, just like SARS and everything else. Just like H1N1, which affected more people, things like that. But it's
don't purposely get it. I'm not saying that. It's a real thing. Wash your hands, people. And guess what? Even without COVID, you should do that anyways. Yeah. It's okay to bathe once in a while.
Well, it's like I've talked about before. Everything I do has always been to protect myself from getting sick from multiple different things. I use the chiropractic care. I wash my hands constantly. I use essential oils, which I know some people laugh at and want to call it like a Karen moment, but I tried it out for a year before I even talked about it. And I found using Thieves Oil from Young Living, which I'm a part of, has been something that has helped protect me from getting more sick than I normally used to. Because I used to get sick quite a bit from doing conventions.
Well, con crud, as we call it, it's known in the industry. anytime you get into a gathering of thousands of people, you're going to have stuff that your immune system hasn't been exposed to, and your chances of catching something is high. And Concred is a real thing too. That may not be the technical name, but there's all of us have experienced it, where you go to a show and the next week you are coughing like crazy and you feel miserable and your body's a wreck. And a few days later, you're fine. But all of these things, you wash your hands, take care of yourself. Don't sneeze on people. If you got to sneeze or cough, cover up, cover up. It's okay.
These are lessons for all life, not just COVID.
Yeah. But, doing antibacterial on everything isn't the cure for a virus.
No, we're going to be in trouble with that. I think we're going to watch something else come up.
And I've seen the opposite issue, actually, because of this COVID stuff. And then I'll end my little rant. I've seen people who've been sick and shouldn't be out. And they're like, oh, it's okay, I got a mask on. It's like, no, that's not how it works.
Yeah.
If you have the symptom, if you're actually sick, you're supposed to stay home,
regardless of if it's COVID or not COVID.
Right, but people don't. It's like, oh no, it's okay. I got a mask on. It's like, you're still contagious. You sneeze in that mask, the force is gonna.
And it's all over your body, touching things too. So
exactly. So just use your brain, people. That's it. Use your brain. Okay, that's words of wisdom from Scott. I just thought I'd share my hospital experience. They don't care. I talked to an emergency nurse. They also said same thing. They go, I don't care about masks. It doesn't matter. Another guy I know who's been EMS for 30 years, same thing. The people I personally know who are medical, not one of them is worried. So,
and that's kind of where we're at in our world. So until next time, guys, join us for episode 171. We'll see what Scott wants to rant about then. All right, I'm going to take us out.